What's up? So we're here to talk about some Guardians of the Rift mass optimizations. Um, so I'm just gonna go ahead and dive right into it. I got some tips for you all. Some of the tips will be useful to like everybody, but the general like crafting method I'm gonna talk about is like assumes that you have 90 rune crafting because it takes heavy advantage of ether combination runes. So that is a requirement to make those. But like I said, there's going to be like several tips sprinkled in here that I think will be useful to pretty much everybody. So let's get straight into it. Equipment. So obviously you wear your pickaxe at Guardians of the Rift. Crystal pickaxe is the fastest, but a dragon pickaxe is a reasonable downgrade. The glove slot is notoriously useless at Guardians of the Rift, but we do wear graceful gloves just because why not, I guess. Ring slot. You can wear a light bearer as the worst, but still some like does something, I guess. Ring for spec regen on your crystal pickaxe spec. Then like the celestial signet uncharged is actually kind of useful because it gives you an invisible mining boost, and then the celestial signet charged is actually quite useful, which is what I'm wearing. Um, you can obviously only wear that if you have Stardust around from AFK mining stars. I do, and I think that Guardians of the Rift is a pretty good place to use it, so I do wear my charged Celestial Signet here. This functions as a mining enhancer similar to the Varrock armor. It gives you a 5% chance to mine double ore, which does work at Guardians of the Rift. Abyssal Lantern, if you have it, you'll want to use U logs. A lot of people like to run Redwood logs in their Abyssal Lantern. I think that that's like just not good basically because running redwood logs get like U logs gives you a 10% chance to double contribution. Redwood logs give you a 5% chance, so that's obviously half of that. And in exchange, the redwood logs give you like no degrading on your pouches, which sounds nice, but it's really just like a laziness thing because you get like 30 seconds to a full minute in between Guardians of the Rifts games where you can come out here and do like busy work, basically, like repair your pouches and break your binding necklaces. So like you lose no time to calling the dark mage and repairing your pouch. So as a result, it doesn't actually like help you be more efficient to have redwood logs in your lantern. U logs are the most efficient option because they give you the best chance of doubling your contribution. The only useful item you can wear in your ammo slot is the Gommel's Lucky Penny if you have the Master Combat achievements done. If you don't have that Master Combat achievements done, then there's just nothing useful you can wear in this slot. It is what it is. The cape slot, once again, a lot of people recommend you wear a max cape or a rune crafting cape in this slot, which I think is just laziness again, because it's just all it does is keep your pouches from degrading, and you can zero time repair your pouches in between Guardians of the Rift games, so it doesn't actually save you any time or help you be more efficient. The mining cape, on the other hand, if you have that, functions like the Varrock armor or the Celestial Signet. It's a 5% chance to double your ore, which does work at Guardians of the Rift. In my opinion, that is the best and slot cape at Guardians of the Rift and the one you should wear if you have it available. I don't, so I just fashion scape my Infernal cape like a stuck up pleb. But if I had my lost bag, I'd fashion scape that instead, but I don't, still sad. And then the other slots for your head, legs, and feet. A lot of like the pet cord god recommends graceful. I'm gonna be honest, in these Guardians of the Rift mass games, you're just never gonna run out of run energy. The hat, legs, and boots of the eye don't actually like give you more contribution points or like XP, but they do give you more runes that you make, like fire runes, blood runes, death runes, like the actual runes that you make. They do give you more of those, so why not? I guess because the slots aren't really doing anything else. It's pretty much the justification of wearing those. The Varrock armor is a mining enhancer. It doubles your chance of getting like more ore while you're mining in the mini games, so that's like a really good slot to fill there if you have the Varrock armor to do that. And then the binding necklace is for making combination runes. You pretty much need to have a binding necklace to make combination runes, so we'll talk about that more in a second. Now let's get into the inventory. So the inventory is where I really like get to start going off about stuff. So we're gonna start by talking about the second binding necklace. The second binding necklace is there because we are potentially gonna craft combination runes up to 7 times during a single Guardians of the Rift mass game. That's not one binding necklace can't do all that. So as a result, what I recommend you do is you take in two binding necklaces, the one that you wear and one in your inventory. After you've crafted runes 3 times in the mini game, break this binding necklace. I have the left click set to break, destroy, and then I can just instantly destroy it by pressing 1. And that's going to recharge the one around your neck to full. So that's what I recommend. Now let's talk about the ether catalysts. The ether catalysts are required to craft ether combination runes, which is like the big new thing that's allowing us to get time and a half catalytic energy, which before wasn't possible. So because we have these ether catalysts, we do give up 1 inventory space, but we get to craft catalytic runes at time and a half efficiency quite often, which is like huge. It just doesn't even compare, basically, how big that is compared to 1 inventory slot. The colossal pouch is obviously the best pouch. If you don't have it, you'll have to like bring more pouches with you. And now let's talk about the rune pouch. The rune pouch is where I really get to go off. So you'll notice my rune pouch layout is a little bit different than most people's. Most people, in fact, every single Guardians of the Rift guide that I've seen online says you should bring the runes for NPC contact with you into the minigame. And I do not understand why. Because like I said before, you get to come out here in between games and you get like a full minute to do stuff at the bank chest, and like you could pull out, 2 air runes and a cosmic rune and NPC contact the dark mage real quick and have him repair your pouches real quick, and oh look, now those runes are gone from my inventory and I don't have to worry about them anymore. The colossal pouch is going to last me the whole game easily, and then next game I can just come out here and do that again. I don't need to take the runes for NPC contact in with me. Like, that's just a complete waste of inventory and rune pouch space. And because I freed up that space in my rune pouch, I can now take these particular runes in with me in my rune pouch. Astral runes, water runes, fire runes, and soul runes. These are very particular. 3 of them you might recognize as the runes for Magic Imbue. Fire runes, water runes, and astral runes. That's true, yes, because we do need Magic Imbue to craft combination runes, but the fire runes and water runes are working overtime as our base runes for crafting elemental combination runes. And the soul runes are obviously in there to serve as the base for ether runes, the combination catalytic rune that we're going to be making. All of these fit into my rune pouch and don't take up inventory spaces because I'm not bringing the runes for NPC contact into the minigame with me pointlessly. So because of that, I'm saving 3 inventory spaces. And I have my left click set to open on the rune pouch. I'm pretty sure it is by default. And then I have withdraw all set as my left click. If you shift right click the rune here, you can swap the left click to withdraw all. And then so I can just pull out, when I'm crafting ether runes, I'm running up to the altar, I hit open, pull out the runes, craft my ether runes, and then bang, right back in the rune pouch. And that's all there is to it. And it saves you several inventory spaces. So yeah. And then when I'm going up to craft fire, like at the fire altar, I'm going up to craft steam runes, I'll just pull out my water runes and bang, 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 and then bang, right back in the rune pouch. And it's that easy. So yeah, it's important that we have 2 elemental runes with us so that we're never locked out of crafting combination element runes. And that's why we have, we don't bring steam runes, we bring fire runes and water runes so that those can both serve as bases for combination runes. So yeah, that's my spiel about the rune pouch. And that's pretty much the inventory covered at this point. So now let's talk about general strategy at the minigame. So in this minigame, it's long been conventional knowledge and like wisdom that the way you go about efficient Guardians of the Rift, whether it's solo or masses, is that you go straight after catalytic energy some games, and then other games you go straight after element energy. You don't like mix it in games because that's just like not as efficient. And that has been true. That was very true. Now it's a lot less true because we have ether runes in the game and we can craft combination catalytic runes at time and a half efficiency. So, which, if you didn't know, crafting combination runes in Guardians of the Rift gives you poly-elemental or poly-catalytic Guardian Stones, which are worth 3 points as opposed to 2 when you hand them in at the Great Guardian. That's why I say time and a half efficiency, because it gives us time and a half points to craft combination runes as opposed to normal runes. Anyways, So, because of this, even if we are chasing element energy, if we don't have the ether catalyst with us and the cosmic altar comes up, even while we're strictly chasing element energy, we are throwing away an opportunity to get time and a half catalytic energy that we could be opportunistically taking advantage of if we just brought ether catalyst with us. And like I said, if you set your inventory up right, it's the only slot that needs to be sacrificed in order to make that opportunity come to fruition. So that is why just even chasing straight element energy, I recommend you bring this inventory. And if you're chasing catalytic energy, I still recommend you bring this inventory. We'll talk about that more here. So let's talk about the priority. So there's still like two mindsets, like games where you're chasing catalytic and games where you're chasing elemental. When you're chasing elemental, the priority is very straightforward. You are going to craft cosmic if it comes up, because you're going to craft ether runes at the cosmic altar. So if cosmic comes up, you are going there. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, because you're going to hit the 1,000 point cap on the elemental runes on games where you're chasing element energy, like almost all games. And if you, again, like I said, you're wasting the opportunity to get time and a half catalytic energy if you don't go into the cosmic altar when it does come up, because you're going to end up crafting catalytic runes at single normal efficiency, which is not as good, like when you hit that 1,000 point cap. So you might as well take advantage and be opportunistic with the cosmic altar when it comes up. And then other than that, you're just going to go to whatever element altar is up, because you have everything you need to craft combination runes at all 4 of the element altars. So that's the priority. On games where you're crafting element runes and you're chasing element energy, just trying to get as many points as possible, is priority 1, cosmic altar. Priority 2, whatever element altar is up. And that's it. That's all you need to know, because there's always going to be an element altar up. So yeah, you'll always have a place to go. Now, catalytic games where you're chasing catalytic energy gets a little bit more complicated, but it's still not very complicated. Here's the chart for the priority that I recommend that you take. And this strikes a balance between you building up catalytic energy, but you still getting really good points per hour, basically. You're going to get 70 it's 36 to 37 pulse per hour doing it this way with the method that I recommend. That is 74 to 72 energy per hour, which is like, that's really really good basically for masses. Like that's like unheard of for masses before ether runes came about. That's like the type of stuff you'd expect doing efficient solos, but yeah, this is in masses now. So this is the priority chart that I recommend that you follow for when you're doing games where you're chasing catalytic energy. You're still going to go to the cosmic altar if it comes up, no ifs, ands, or buts. Now if fire comes up, fire gives us overcharged cells and it gives us time and a half energy because we're crafting combination runes there. That's still so efficient that you don't want to ignore it if fire is up. So if cosmic's not up but fire is up, you go to fire. Then if neither of these two are up but blood or death are up, go to blood or death and just craft like single efficiency runes there, because that's like, you know, the best that you can do, and it's like still really good because you get an overcharged cell. And yeah, and then if none of these 4 are up, then one of these 3 is gonna be up, and you want to go craft at that element altar, whatever element altar is up basically. So that's just to help you maintain good points per hour. Now, when you follow this chart, you will your catalytic energy will pull ahead by a very significant margin on most games. So your catalytic energy will catch up, but you'll be getting a lot of points per hour still. That's the point of using this priority. So yeah, that's general strategy. Now let's go ahead and watch a game where I'm going to get into some of the tips, like the general tips that I was talking about that might be useful to a lot of people, and also just so I can narrate like what it looks like to do a game. So we're just coming out of the last game here. I'm going up to the bank chest. I'm grabbing 2 binding necklaces, 2 air runes, 1 cosmic rune, and bang, I'm out of the bank chest. I'm going to break one of these binding necklaces. That's going to restore the one in my inventory and the one that's still around my neck to full charges. And then I'm going to go up to the door. I'm going to NPC contact the Dark Mage at the door. And I flashed the XP rate here. As you can see, I'm getting 73k XP an hour in masses, which is like, that's really good. That's really good from what I understand, basically. So yeah. And then we just call the Dark Mage. We have him repair our pouches. And then we still have 8 seconds before we're even being let in the door at this point. 30 seconds on top of that before we have to be over here and ready to mine, like over at the rubble. So like I said, like there's really no reason to bring NPC contact into the minigame with you. You have all this time to use it outside the minigame and then just leave the runes outside, basically. I just don't understand why it's so universally recommended to do that. I guess if you have a giant pouch, it might not last you through the whole game, but if you have a colossal pouch, there's just no reason. So yeah. So now we wait for the 30-second mark up here on the timer on the top, because that 30-second mark is where we get let in the door. We can go in now. And then we go and we take the uncharged cells off the table, and we head over to the rubble. So now I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, because it's just going to be me mining for like 2 minutes. But yeah, so I'm just mining, and then we'll talk about here, when do you get off the rock. So I recommend low 30s, so when it's like 33 to 31 seconds on the clock over here left, that's when you get off the rock, is what I recommend. Just whatever fragments you have in your inventory is what you've got at that point, basically. And then we head on over, we start crafting. So the first little tip that I've got for you here is, if you're at this workbench, you'll see me zoom in on it real close here, and then I'm going to reach over to my colossal pouch, and I'm going to fill it and click on the workbench really quickly, right about now. Yep, and I didn't like lose any ticks on my crafting because I did it that way, basically. So it helps you save time when you're crafting, is if you like click on your colossal pouch and then the workbench really quickly like that, you'll continuously keep crafting. So it won't interrupt your crafting, basically, if you do it that way. So now one thing to talk about here is that the reason I recommend you get off the rock in the low 30s is because you'll get it to see what the first set of altars are. If one of these is cosmic, you want to stop crafting a little bit early and make sure you get in on it. But if it's not cosmic, which it's not here, then we get to wait for the second round and see what it is and see if it's maybe something better. And in this case, it gives us cosmic, which is great. Now, I guess I'll mention here, the cosmic altar used to be like notoriously bad because the run is so long to get to the actual altar that like it was recommended you stay away from it. But now, like the time and a half ether runes, it just pales in comparison to how efficient that is. So yeah, now the cosmic altar is the best one, basically. Like like if you're crafting combination runes as you should be for points, then yeah, it is the best one. So as you can see, when I reach into my rune pouch here to pull out my soul runes, my character keeps running. So it doesn't cost me any time to like reach into my pouch like that and pull out these runes. And now, I just craft my combination runes, I head on back out. Now I actually make a little bit of a mistake here. It would have been a huge mistake, but I was prepared for it. So I'll talk about it here in a second. But I'm going to place my cell down, and then I'm going to head on over, and I'm going to deposit my runes here, and you'll notice my soul runes are still outside of my pouch. That is potentially a huge mistake, because that could lead to my soul runes getting deposited into the bank, and I wouldn't be able to craft soul runes, ether runes, for the whole rest of the game. But I went into my bank before I started playing in this session, and this is where my soul runes usually are. I pulled them all out, put them in my pouch, and then I went and clicked fill on my bank here. I removed the placeholder, and then I went and clicked fill on my bank here. It filled in that slot and all of these slots, so my bank is full, so the soul runes have nowhere to go. Now this only works with your fire, water, and soul runes if you have less than 16,000 of them to your name. So you see I have 120,000 fire runes. I couldn't do that with my fire runes, because I would pull out my fire runes, and then I remove the placeholder and fill it, but I can only fit so many of these into my rune pouch, and now I'm not saving this inventory slot. So yeah, that only works if you have less than 16,000. Whoops, wrong item. That only works if you have less than 16,000 of that item to your name, basically, at that point in time. And as you can see, like, I have a lot more fire runes than that. And I normally have more soul runes than that, but in this particular situation, at this particular night, I didn't. So yeah. That's something you can do to prepare for this, but what you really want to do is you just want to get in the habit of, as soon as you're done crafting your combination runes, you just put the runes right back in the pouch right after you're done, and it won't deposit runes out of your pouch into this pool, so you'll be fine. One more thing to mention here that I forgot to mention. There's a game setting that you'll want to have turned off called rune picking behavior. A lot of people like to have this on. If this is on, it makes it so when you pick up runes, they go straight into your rune pouch. When you're doing Guardians of the Rift this way with your rune pouch set up like this needs to be off, because you're going to pull the soul runes out of your rune pouch, and then you're going to craft ether runes, and then the ether runes are going to go straight into your pouch if that's on, which is going to be really annoying because then you'll have to pull the ether runes out so you can put the soul runes back in. You just want to have that setting off, basically, if you're doing Guardians of the Rift like this, while you're doing it at least. So now I go and I hit the portal. That's the basic structure of a mass Guardians of the Rift game, if you didn't know, is you go craft an inventory, and you go craft it, you go rune craft it, you go like chisel an inventory, and then you rune craft it, then you go into the portal and mine an inventory, then you rune craft it, then you go chisel an inventory, you rune craft it, you go into the portal, you mine an inventory, you rune craft it, repeat. So that's like the basic structure, and that's basically what we're doing here. But the next tip that I'm going to mention here, this is like a bigger optimization, is so here real quick, you saw I just clicked on my rune pouch, and now I'm about to click on the Guardian Remains really quickly. So what you want to do here basically is you want to wait for these essence stones. You want to wait, so watch here. I'm going to wait for the essence stones to pop up in my inventory. And then right when they do, I click my rune pouch and click their Guardian Remains. Now your pickaxe is on a continuous cycle here, and if you fill your pouch up and click back on the remains before your pickaxe cycle goes off again, your pickaxe will continue uninterrupted, like you didn't even fill your pouch up. So it's like you can save a lot of time mining that way. It saves a lot of time. Like if you interrupt your pickaxe, it has to completely restart its cycle again, which takes several ticks. But if you click your pouch right after the stones pop up, I'll do it here in a second. Right there. So right after the stones popped up, I clicked my pouch, clicked the remains. And that, if I did all that before my pickaxe went off again, then I'll just continue mining, like without breaking stride. So that's going to save you a lot of time when you're mining the Guardian Remains over here. You don't even have to be super quick about it, just like, just like as soon as the stones pop up in your inventory, click pouch, click remains, and then you'll be good. So now we're going to look at the altar that I go to here. As you can see, I got a cosmic talisman off my last craft. So when you have a talisman in your inventory, you can basically treat it like that pillar is up. So like air's up right now, nature's up right now, and cosmic is also up right now because I have the talisman in my inventory. So because that is my priority #1 altar, I am going to go there, because that's going to get the talisman out of my inventory, which is going to save an inventory space, and it's also going to get me crafting ether runes, which I want to be doing as much as possible. And then I pop them right back in my pouch. See, I normally do it like that. I just made that mistake that one time, is that right after you're done crafting the runes, just put the runes back in your pouch. Go place the cell down. Come on over here, deposit the ether runes in the pool. And we're back to crafting. So let's skip ahead here. Okay, so now we're going to look at this next altar situation that comes up. Now, as you can see, I didn't craft one essence stone. I left one inventory space open. That's so that I can pull runes out of my pouch. Like, I would have to drop that essence stone if I made a full inventory so that I could get room to pull my runes out of my pouch to craft with here. But yeah, I just left the inventory space open because that saved a guardian fragment. So now we talked about the priority. Yes, we're chasing catalytic energy, and death is good, but fire is like really, really efficient. So because of that, we're still going to go with fire in this situation. Just like that chart we talked about, or that I showed you, right here. Oops. So yeah, just crafting my fire runes. Go back a little bit so you can see it. Just crafting my fire runes. Pull the water runes out of my pouch so that I can craft with them. Yep, head on back out. I will put the water runes back in my pouch here in a second. I promise I don't forget again. There we go. Yep. And now we're back here, and this will illustrate like the continuous mining cycle. Like I said before, after you craft runes 3 times, you want to break your binding necklace so that you free up that inventory space as soon as possible. So here, I'm gonna be in between pickaxe swings, and I'm gonna break my binding necklace here, and I'm still like I'm not gonna lose any ticks. You see how I still like kept a continuous mining cycle there, even while breaking the binding necklace, because I was like pretty quick about it and did it in between the stones popping in my inventory. That's how that works. Yeah. So we'll skip ahead a little bit here. So now let's see what altar I choose here. So I got Earth and Blood up. So in this situation, we refer to that chart for chasing catalytic energy, and it tells us that Earth's not too bad, but Blood is really nice. So because of that, like especially like if we're trying to get catalytic energy, Blood's pretty good. So we're gonna go with Blood in this situation. Now we'll skip ahead a little bit here. I'm just crafting again. Okay, it looks like we got Cosmic up, so that's a no-brainer. When Cosmic's up, we just go straight to it. And I got a Blood Talisman in my inventory. So the next round, when I go back out, I would have treated it in the last round too, like Blood was up. But Blood's up, that's great, but Cosmic's up, and Cosmic's our #1 priority. So we go in and we craft Ether Runes. Yep, and then the last round of crafting here, I'm going to go ahead and you see we got nature, earth, sorry, finish mining here. So you see we have nature, earth, and blood up because we have the blood talisman. Of those 3 altars, blood is the highest priority, so we go and we craft blood. Now, one thing to mention here, this is the last little thing here, is that there's so much time left at the end here after I get done with that last round of crafting that I come over here and I mine like 5 to 7 Guardian Essence, and then I go and make those real quick, even though the game's almost over. I pretty much do this just to get a cell. Like, I'm not going to make very many runes, obviously, doing this, but I will get a strong cell going into the Earth Altar here, which is worth 9 points in each style. So that's like, you can cheese that out at the end of the game, basically. If there's very little time left, but you feel like you could maybe go mine like 3 or 4 essence fragments and still make it to an altar, you can get yourself a cell that way, which is worth some points, some decent points. So we didn't get any doubling that game from our Abyssal Lantern, and we still got 1,100 points. So if you get doubling from your Abyssal Lantern, you can get up to like 1,300, 1,400. This is definitely on the low end of how much energy you're going to get from a single game doing it this way. And we still got 1,100, which is pretty solid. And that's like... That's rock solid. Like, this is the lowest it's going to be. So, like, you're going to get 70, 74, 72, 73 energy per hour doing it this way. And that's going to equate to about 36 to 37 pulls an hour, which is really efficient for Mass Guardians of the Rift. So, I hope that was helpful, and I hope you could glean something useful for you doing Guardians of the Rift out of the video. I guess that's all I got for you. See ya.